Hello there. It's JDM, Season 2, Round 1, Bahrain, new look, new vibe, new teammate. We're going to go take a look in qualifying right next, so get comfortable. Alright, so straight out the gate, first thing worth mentioning is delivery. It looks different. We went for orange. I was going for more of a kind of 2000, 2001, 2 arrows sort of look, like the orange sponsored team, you know, back in the day. So I was going for a little bit of that. And also, we've got Michael Schumacher as a teammate because the budget allowed for it. So we've got Michael, wow, went a bit wide there. Got Michael to replace Piastri, and we're going to see how we both get on for Q1. So, results of Q1, Daniel Ricciardo, quickest of all in the first session, and Michael in 11th, so he outpaces us and we just squeaked through in 16th, more work to be done. So into Q2, Schumacher has set the benchmark for us with a 12th, provisional 12th place, and we're at green in the top right there, so we're up on our previous best on the second run of the session, and looking to try and make the best out of this car. This lap felt like it was hooked up particularly well as we come up to some traffic, but we don't actually get the traffic, we just get a nice slipstream. And it turns out, boy was that lap hooked up. 4th place. We get right up there with Sergio Perez and the 2 Ferraris. So looking bang on pace. Can we carry it through for the rest of the weekend though? Not sure. Michael doesn't make it. Out in 13th, he couldn't improve. So whatever pace we found in Q2, we couldn't translate it into Q3. Leclerc is fastest. Those Ferraris have looked quick all weekend, pretty much every session. So I think they're going to be the ones to look out for in the race. We start from 10th. It's a good place to try and look forwards from, but I can't help but feel that we should have done better.
No more testing, no more practice. This is the real deal, and it's make or break here at round 1 of this year's Formula One World Championship. We go racing today around the 3.36 miles of the magnificent Bahrain International Circuit, with 15 corners and 2 good passing opportunities into turns 1 and 4. Keep an eye out for drivers locking the front left tyre into the tricky braking zone of turn 10. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and a very happy Carlos Sainz will start second. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Norris, Sergio Perez, and Russell, Hamilton, Ricciardo, Stroll, and Gardner, Ocon, Magnussen, Michael Schumacher and Gasly, Albon, Mick Schumacher, Valtteri Bottas and Sebastian Vettel, Tsunoda, Joe, Tictum and Nicholas Latifi. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. A new season then, a clean slate where anything could happen. Anthony Davidson is with me today as once again we get another year of Formula One underway.
We're into those tense few minutes before the first race then. Everyone's a little bit nervous about reliability. They haven't been running in the hot, turbulent wake of other cars in practice. They've not been pushing at 100% for long durations. Let's hope no one has to deal with any nasty surprises.
Alright then, so Season 2 begins, and we're in the box seat to get some points, and hopefully more than just the one provisionally that we've got sitting in 10th on the grid at the moment. And with Michael not too far behind us, I'm hoping that he's going to be able to push forwards as well and help me out. Unlike Piastri, so I mean we've paid top dollar for somebody that knows what they're doing. And I'm hoping that Michael can provide that for us this season and not just rely on me for the points all the time. But that said, comparative to the other teams, I would hope top 5 based on Q2 pace. Replay off the start then. Charles Leclerc on your right, Carlos Sainz on your left as they get away, and it looks like both Ferraris got a fairly decent getaway, although the Red Bull coming down the outside of the track looks like it's stolen a march. So it looks like 3 abreast going into the first couple of turns. Charles Leclerc keeps the lead, but he's going to get dragged all the way down. Max Verstappen trying to slipstream and going down the inside, but he can't make it stick. So Charles Leclerc has defended well off pole position and now leads the race for Ferrari, but Verstappen and Sainz are quick in tow. We managed to pick our way through at the start and avert any comings together with anybody. We had a little touch with George Russell, but as we notice here, there's a yellow flag which then goes green at the hairpin. Esteban Ocon down into the hairpin and loses it under braking. Ends up facing the wrong way, and I believe one of the cars has smashed in and lost their front wing there. So Ocon now beached on the curb and accelerating, not moving anywhere. On board with Michael Schumacher approaching the incident and had nowhere to go, just loses the front left wing end fence and is stuck as Ocon moves back out the way onto the curb, then moves around and takes off. So we get a notification that Ocon has been disqualified as we dive up the inside of George Russell. Big dive bomb, make that one stick. So Ocon out because he couldn't get off that curb, and now we've got to move and go forwards without Michael backing us up. Just behind us, however, at the beginning of lap 2, George Russell and Sergio Perez are squabbling for that position just behind us in the JDM. Puff of smoke under braking for Perez as he turns in at the hairpin, and these two battling each other like it was for the race lead. And after getting involved in that incident down at the hairpin with Esteban Ocon's Alpine, Michael Schumacher in the JDM coming into the pit lane presumably for repairs to that front wing. Hopefully it will be a good stop and he can remain in contact with the other people who've had the unfortunate luck of getting tangled up in that mess. The stop looks okay, tyres have gone on without an issue, and the front wing also on without issue. So Michael Schumacher can rejoin the race, although he's going to be at a bit of a disadvantage pitting out of sequence with the rest of the field, and he's going to have to work hard to make anything of this race from this point forwards. Not an ideal debut. A bit further round on lap 2, we rejoin the action on board with George Russell as he is going tooth and nail with Sergio Perez again, and Hamilton round the outside. So he's getting involved now, the Mercedes driver's teammate, and he ends up losing out to both Hamilton and Perez. We rejoin on board, trying to track down, hunt down Lando Norris in the McLaren as we've moved ahead and away from the squabbling that's been going on behind with Perez and the two Mercedes. Get the notification that we're going to have our pit stop this lap as Norris locks up going into turn 1. We take advantage of that and take him on the exit. Lady Luck smiled on us for that one, unlike what's been going on with our teammate. End of lap 5 then, and we rejoin the race leader Charles Leclerc as he comes in the pit lane to make his pit stop. No problems with slowing down for the pit limiter, it looked like. So Leclerc in. The defending world champion, number 1 on his car of course. And he leaves the pit lane. Is there going to be any traffic on the exit as the Alfa Romeo goes through? The Haas is there, and that could be a little bit of a problem for Leclerc. We follow the race leader in to make our own pit stop at the end of lap 5 as well. Sainz goes through, Perez goes through, so some of those sister cars running a bit longer. We get into the box. Oh, looks pretty routine. No issues there. We'll be fighting Perez in the Red Bull and the two Mercedes. That's our fight for today. Too slow to try and match the Ferraris. What's the gap to Michael?
Gap to your teammate behind is 19.6 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. They're currently 21st. Time last lap was a 1:33.1.
That's pretty quick. I'm hoping he didn't get caught up in that whatever was going on with Ocon earlier. Shake a bake, baby. That was a heater. And just as we get excited about taking the fastest lap, Charles Leclerc takes it away as quickly as we manage to get it. So the Ferraris spoiling our day. Joining race leader Daniel Ricciardo, who's run long on the medium tyre, extremely long actually, 11 laps. So that is on the very, very, very far end of what can be dragged out of the tyre, the lifespan of it. So he opts for the hard tyre for the last 3 laps. So that's interesting. Maybe he didn't have any new softs left after qualifying. But Daniel Ricciardo will rejoin a bit further down. And there goes his teammate Lando Norris. So he's going to try and slot in behind him. And the Haas and the Alpine going through. So Daniel Ricciardo, as we are on board now with the McLaren, trying to get those hard tyres up to temperature. And the Alpine coming around the outside. Can he make it stick? He does. So as we set our sights on trying to catch Sainz, we realise that George Russell and Daniel Ricciardo have pitted, so that promotes us to 4th place. So now we've got to just try and settle in and maximise these points. So we managed to keep the gap up until the last lap back to Hamilton and Perez, who were squabbling behind us and changing position lap on lap. And we then get the notification that the fuel is low, so we've run out of fuel essentially into the last lap, which will put us at an extreme disadvantage on the straights. But as we come down to the hairpin, we get a yellow flag and see that Perez is spun, so that gives us a little bit of a breathing space, but Hamilton does overtake us. Couldn't fight him, didn't have the power with the low fuel mode. And we join on board with Perez down into the hairpin as he loses it, gets all up on the curb, on the white lines, and spins it. So ends up losing a place there. As we now follow Hamilton, watching his view. As Perez spins in the background, Hamilton out-drags us down to the next corner. We just have to tuck in behind.
Green flag.
We pick up the race leader Charles Leclerc as he rounds the final turn, and he is going to win for Ferrari and start their season off in the best possible way. The defending champion wins the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Oh, grazie mille, grazie a tutti, siete dei grandi, mamma mia, non ci sono parole, grazie per tutto. Grazie per tutto, siete i migliori, per sempre.
As we approach the final corner, we see that Lando Norris is gaining on us. We have to try and use whatever engine battery power we've got left to get over the line, and we do as the fireworks go off, and we bring home an extremely positive result for JDM on the opener to Season 2. I'm sorry. Can we just stop for a second and appreciate the legend that is Gotifi, who has achieved today quite possibly something that we thought was implausible, impossible. But that is the legend of Gotifi. Where Latifi goes, dreams are ruined. Alright, let's continue.
And here's our winner, pulling their Ferrari into Parc Fermé after a fantastic race.
Alright, so the Prancing Horse start the season in the best possible way, with a victory for their main man Charles Leclerc. Sainz did come home third, but he couldn't quite match the same level of pace that Charles had today. Max Verstappen did look the closest to being on terms with Leclerc and did his best, but Ferrari pretty untouchable overall.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today and a stunning win for Ferrari.
So Leclerc gets his first win of the season, the defending champion, as we already said. Perez won here last year, so Ferrari will be happy to buck that trend and stopping Red Bull from getting the win on the opening weekend. And it was a 1-3, so the only thing that could have been better if Sainz could have gotten ahead of Verstappen, but all things considered, I'm pretty sure Ferrari will be happy with this weekend's work. Results time then, let's get to it. Charles Leclerc wins the Grand Prix for Ferrari. Max Verstappen 3.7 seconds behind, couldn't match the overall pace of the Ferrari this weekend, certainly not the lead one. Carlos Sainz, a double podium for Ferrari, that is a strong weekend for them, and they'll be glad that Sergio Perez finished a bit further down in 7th, because that's going to make all the difference in the Constructors' battle. Lewis Hamilton did manage to pip us on the last lap as we ran out of fuel, and he got the DRS and steamed around the outside of us in the back part of the circuit. We come home 5th. That is a good result based on what we did in qualifying. And Lando Norris, he tried to shut us down, couldn't quite make it. Magnussen, Stroll and Ricciardo round out the final points paying positions. Our teammate Schumacher tried to recover after the problems on lap 1 but couldn't get back up there. Extremely positive weekend for the defending champion then on the opening weekend, taking the win and the pole. Pretty much the perfect start. We get a decent clutch of points which puts us into 4th place in the Constructors' Championship, and that's a great place to push forward from going into the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, which will be coming up next. Stay tuned, thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next video.